Beverly, the answer is probably no, but have you ever been in a steel mill?
I have not.
Okay, I have too. Selena, I compare it to the one time I went on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Like it's just an amazing visual experience to see people doing their jobs in a setting that is extraordinary with the heat and the power of the equipment. It's incredible. So sorry to interrupt, but I just want to validate what you said because I went once and it was amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. All I can say is it's like it smelled like work, right? You just had and you had this sense that something big was happening there. And so the reason that I went was twofold. I wanted to see how these guys felt about the Nippon deal. If anybody doesn't remember, Nippon put a offer in to buy U.S. Steel in December of 2023, and it sort of rocked the world. U.S. Steel was once the largest company in the world. It was the first billion-dollar company in the world. And then in its name itself, United States Steel was everything that you thought of about with America and that work ethos and building things like bridges and roads, but also aircrafts and tanks for during the World War I and World War II, right? So there's just this sense of Americanism with it is belongs to this country. So the idea that a Japanese company was going to buy an American company that symbolized so many things really initially the local union workers, local 227 steel workers were against it. And then they became skeptical. And then they started to do their homework. And they soon found that it was in their best interest that Nippon would buy them. They need a new rolling mill there. That rolling mill that I saw there is 86 years old, right? And they need new technology. They need to be more efficient. They need to be able to compete, and that was they were not going to get that from U.S. Steel, and U.S. Steel was point blank in telling them that. And so they started to be able to also get some more gimmies or more concessions from Nippon, a promise to build a new rolling mill, a promise to be there for at least 10 years, right? And a promise of investing anywhere from $2 to $7 billion. That it was made them change their mind about this deal. Now, who was against it? Joe Biden, the most adamantly, along with, I'm going to forget the U.S. Steelworker international president's name. He's out of Cleveland. He was against it as well. And so was Trump, but Trump was against it with nuance. You know, there's always this sense, it goes back to that quote that I said, voters take him seriously, but not literally, but reporters take him literally, but not very seriously. These guys believed there was nuance when he said no, that something was going to happen, that there was going to be a deal, whereas Biden was just adamantly against it. And they thought of that as the end of their line. Now, in February, Trump met with the is it Prime Minister of Japan? Is
Yeah.
that what they're called? Okay, in the White House. And since then, Trump, Nippon, the Japanese, Howard have all been infuriated, and U.S. Steel have all been in very intense negotiations for something to happen there. And I don't know what it would look like. I suspect it's going to look more like a partnership or a deal, something that keeps that U.S. Steel name. But this is very, like, I cannot express to you guys enough how important this is in Pennsylvania. Think about what the name of our football team is. It's not the Pittsburgh UPMCs, right, which is the largest employer, which is a medical entity, a series of hospitals. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though most people have never even been in a steel mill, that association, that cultural association with that idea of steel being made here is deeply important, and it impacted people's votes in a way that, in a nuanced way, and especially in the suburbs, that people don't understand. I mean, that you may have not worked there, but your grandfather did, or your great grandfather or your neighbor, or whatever. We are culturally associated with steel. Our number one beer in Pittsburgh is called Iron City, right? I mean, everything is about steel. So the saving of this company became a nuanced thing in the election cycle. And it has continued as Trump continues to project that a deal or a partnership will happen. It continues to solidify his support in this state as opposed to erode it. And that goes to tariffs. Tariffs are very important in the steel industry. You know, cheap steel, steel dumping, all of those things have impacted these lives, these communities. If you drive around Western Pennsylvania, two towns like McKeesport, where Chris Lasavita is from, or Aliquippa, and you see miles and miles of empty steel mills, you are constantly reminded of what was taken away from you, how many people left, how many family members left. And so that's why it's much more nuanced than people understand. But that's why tariffs, as my long way of saying that, that's why tariffs are okay here.
Either subscribe to the post to read the piece or get around the paywall. The best, yeah,
I tweeted the last tweet I did on
yeah.
it. Zito
Free link.
Serena is a free one.
Free link. Okay, read the piece. It's the characters are great, the setting is great, the storytelling is great, but it makes some really important points about where the country is, not just Western Pennsylvania. I recommend you go find it.